What's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. My friend Mubu sent me another great video. We've got to get busy in a minute making that one. But before then, we've got the highlights from today. It was wild. Another crazy day in Parliament, man. These Liberals are so corrupt and they don't even try to hide it. Let's just jump right into what Canadians need to see this stuff just so they know like what they're voting for or who they're talking about or what is going on. That's a good question. What is going on? Here are the highlights.
Other investigation. How many police investigations are they facing, Mr. Speaker? After 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost of food. Today, we got a terrible report from the charity Second Harvest, which reports that this year they expect 1 million additional visits to food banks, and that last year 36% of charities had to turn people away because they were running out of resources. Will the Prime Minister reverse his inflationary carbon tax on farmers and food?
Speaker, when it comes to fight for Canadians, we will take no lessons from these conservatives, Mr. Speaker. Today, I just appeared in front of the Agricultural Committee, and Mr. Speaker, it was shocking to see that one of their members was defending the profit margin of foreign food processor, Mr. Speaker, at a time when we should all be fighting in this House for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. If the leader of the opposition want to do something for Canadians, vote for C-59, increase competition in this country. More competition is more choice, better price for Canadians, and more innovation, Mr. Speaker. Canadians understand that. Will he understand?
But a new survey reveals over 6 million Canadians don't have access to a family doctor. The Liberals promised to hire 7,500 doctors and nurses in the last election, but haven't delivered. And while Liberals delay, Conservatives want to cut the healthcare people depend on. When will the Liberals act to ensure more doctors and nurses are hired so everyone can get high quality and timely healthcare?
Coming out of a pandemic, coming out of some of the most difficult times that our planet has ever faced in terms of global health, we have stepped forward. I want to thank the member in the NDP for his work and for pointing out that the Conservatives will cut and cut deeply. When they talk about what their plans are, they fail to mention to achieve them, they are going to need to cut billions and billions out of health with devastating consequences. In contrast, we are investing in every province, in every territory of this country to make sure that we have the best healthcare system in the country. We will be relentless in that focus, and we will not let the Conservatives deter.
Since Conservatives will axe the tax, build the home, fix the budget, and stop the crime, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the cost.
Between that side of the House and this side of the House is that we don't deny the existence of climate change, and we want to protect it for generations to come.
I'm going to ask the honourable member from St. Albert's, Edmonton, please. And to all members, it's really important that we do listen to the question. It's hard for the Speaker to understand. I understand perhaps that the President of the Treasury Board was referring to the Speaker. I hope the comments do fall through the Speaker, of course. The honourable member from Thornhill.
After 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, carbon taxes are driving up the cost of food. People are literally turning to dumpsters because they can't afford groceries. A report from the Toronto Star says dumpster diving is a new trend. So here's what you won't read in the Star. Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. What does the Toronto Star have to write in order for this radical environment minister to show some compassion and stop the 23% April 1st tax hike for all Canadians?
I hate to interrupt a member while they have the floor, but it is important for the chair to ask all members to allow members to please have that opportunity. I'll ask, there are some members whose voices carry. They know who they are. I ask them to please keep their voices down so I could allow the honourable member to finish his question with 15 seconds left on the clock. 15 seconds.
Speaker, I'd like to remind Canadians know that on this side of the House, we believe you can fight climate change and have a prosperous future for our children, Mr. Speaker. We brought Stellantis in this country. We brought Volkswagen in this country. We brought Norval in this country. Mr. Speaker, we have created jobs for the next generation, fight climate change, and ensure Canada will lead in the 21st century.
but for the grace of God I go. And we've all sometimes made a mistake. I'm going to ask the honourable member from Kenora to start his question again from the top.
While Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime, Mr. Speaker, 1 in 5 families are living in energy poverty, and we know that rate is even higher in rural areas like Northern Ontario, Mr. Speaker. So while they laugh about it, why doesn't this Prime Minister finally axe his April carbon tax hike so that Canadians can afford to heat their homes?
Our Parliament needs to be unplugged from the wall and plugged back in, Mr. Speaker. But here's what I hope happens when that reboot occurs. I hope he'll get up from his place, walk down to the Leader of the Opposition and say, pass the fall economic statement, help Canadians.
The Minister and his colleagues thought that the Auditor General's work was so important they wouldn't have voted against the audit that the Leader of the Opposition and Common Sense Conservatives voted for. And that's how we found out about this $60 million scandal that lands at that minister's feet. And now we have the RCMP investigating them. Twice before, the Prime Minister has used the powers of the executive to shield himself from investigation in criminal investigations with the RCMP. Our question is simple this time. Will the Prime Minister interfere in the investigation again, or will he allow the RCMP to do their work?
The RCMP have now confirmed they are investigating the $60 million plus Arrive scam boondoggle. While Common Sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime, this NDP PM is not worth the cost, crime or corruption after 8 years. Will the Prime Minister cooperate with the RCMP in their criminal investigation, or will he yet again try to obstruct?
The government spent a minimum of $60 million on Arrive scam. It could even be more. We don't know because there's missing documentation. IT middleman GC Strategies got $20 million for doing no actual work. The top cop in the RCMP announced today a full investigation into Arrive scam. So today the Prime Minister has a decision to make. Will he cooperate with the RCMP, or will he obstruct justice like he usually does?
We've heard today ministers telling us that RCMP criminal investigation into corruption in their government has become so commonplace that after 8 years, it's not really news anymore. Mr. Speaker, I'm old enough to remember a time when it was a big deal that the RCMP investigated the government. It's been too many times, and it's time this government be held to account. Now, finally, will the minister tell us whether or not this government will cooperate with the RCMP investigation?
We shouldn't forget the NDP, like, just because they forgot about us doesn't mean that we need to, be as low as they are. Jagmeet's got to go, so does Trudeau. But here's what the NDP had to say today.
More than 8 million people in Sudan have been displaced through 10 months of war. This has been devastating for people in Sudan and their family members in Canada. The special immigration measure for Ukrainians set important standards, and it should apply everywhere else. Canada showed that we can help those facing war and persecution. 220,000 Ukrainians got to safety, but the Liberals put an arbitrary 1,000 person limit for people in Gaza and 3,250 for Sudan. Will the minister lift these caps so that no Canadian family in war zones is discriminated against?
30% of the screening officers at Victoria's airport have lost their jobs without due process and with no access to an appeal. Their employer wanted to keep them on, but the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority interfered, undermining labor relations and costing people their jobs. To make matters worse, the Minister of Transportation refuses to meet with them. Yet again, the Liberals are dropping the ball when it comes to protecting workers. Why is the Minister refusing to meet with these workers and their union?
We are trying to educate ourselves, at the same time share that with other Canadians. We all need more information. This Trudeau government has got to go. Poilievre looks like the guy. We're having a good time with Canadian politics right now, but it is tough times for Canadians. Like and subscribe, notify somebody, share it with someone. All right, thanks a lot. Catch you next video. Have something healthy to eat. Stay warm tonight.